Day number 30 of the Daily Journal video series. Everyone, welcome back. My name is Hervin, and this is the Daily Journal video series where every day I come online and I share here any lessons that I learned today. I am also documenting here our journey as we try and scale our company, so I learn any lessons that I learn along the way. I'm also just sharing anything that I find cool, any lessons that I learned from the books that I'm listening to, anything that I'm thinking about, and just overall sometimes some nonsense. And so let's dive right in. Today is day number 30, which marks the first month. Just check completed, got it done. It feels back in the day when I did this program called P90X. So it was supposed to be a body transformational program in 90 days. It was hardcore. I did it for like a year. Instead of P90X, it was like P360X, 300. In fact, I did it for a little bit longer than a year, and it gave me amazing results. It put me in the best shape ever, and this makes me feel like that. Right now, I've been learning to improve my speaking skills. I've been consistent every day, and I have this to look forward to every day. Just like when I did P90X, that was like the thing to look forward to every day. And so it's been 30 days. And so this is it. This is what 30 days of creating content and documenting the journey feels like. For anybody who's watched Gary Vee, where he says you should be putting out there so much content and you should be documenting and not creating. I am starting on that journey. And again, today is day number 30. I feel like this is a good milestone to hit here. And so anyway, so I'm excited about that 30 days in. Today, we are going to talk about a couple of things. So I'm going to share with you a few updates for what I did today, work related. Also yesterday, I have a few things that I've been thinking about from yesterday. And so I'll start first with the fact that it was really hard to get into the flow of work today. Just mostly I've been addicted to the phone. And I know I said this early on at the start of this daily vlog, where I shared how I have trouble just being able to focus and the phone addiction, and how I shared some tips for being able to turn from color into, for being able to turn your phone from color into the black and white thing. And that actually helps, but sometimes I forget and I turn it back on into colors. And so anyway, one of the things that I did today, besides like trying to put my phone really far away from me, is that I picked up this timer. And this is something that I've had, and I bought it for this purpose, but I used it today, where I time my work session. So while this timer was on, I was very conscious about not engaging in distractions and just focusing. And so I did that, and it actually worked. I had one session for 60 minutes, pause for like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. I can't remember. It might have been 5. Who knows? But in any case, then went back into it, did another 60 minutes of work, paused for an hour, then came back into it and worked here for another half an hour or so. And it actually helped me. It helped me focus, just being able to see the timer. So I just put here 60 minutes, put it right in front of me so that I could see it right there here on my desk. And that worked. And so I felt like I had a productive Sunday. Today is Sunday, August 27th, about to be 9 p.m. Here is 8:57 p.m. So yeah, that's the first thing I wanted to share. So if you struggle with concentrating and just getting down to work and being able to put in some focused time, just think about getting a timer. Just the fact that you can see it. I used to put it in the browser, but sometimes you forget about it. So this one, just being able to see it here, a physical timer, is actually a lot. It's really helpful. And so I'm going to try and keep using that as I have to put in more focused work. Okay, so that's the first update right here. Yesterday, here's the second update. So yesterday was Oana's birthday. And Oana is my partner. We're a couple. We run this business together. We're partners in life. And so we went to celebrate yesterday her birthday at this restaurant. And we went to this sushi restaurant, and it was the most expensive dinner either one of us has ever had in our lives. It was like a $500 dinner, and it was amazing. Like the best sushi you've ever had is this restaurant here in Miami called Uchi, and it has, I mean, anyway, it's so good. And for a single bite of sushi, it's like $9 to $12. And it made me think of this lesson right here, which was number one, the pricing. So what dictates price? And it kind of feels like they just sort of picked a really high number and just stuck to it. So for the same price that you get one bite, other restaurants give you like a full roll and more. And so this felt like they just really stuck to being they're really trying to just be a premium brand. And so one bite, it's like $9 to $12. And obviously, that's going to help them make a lot more money by just by selling at a higher price. The other thing that I was thinking about is that the server that was waiting on us, she made a $100 tip at the end of our meal. And I thought to myself, I'm like, wow, this server, she's really putting in the same amount of work that any other server at any other restaurant is putting. Like, she's doing the same amount of work. She came to check in on us a couple of times. She just refilled our waters once. She came to offer a couple of other things. Like, she gave us some suggestions on the menu. We had a little bit of a conversation with her, but really, like, it wasn't like she was 20 levels above in service, or for the price that we pay, which was really like 10 times the price of a regular restaurant. For the price that we paid, did we get 10 times the service? And the answer is no. And so does that mean that it was a bad deal? No. I mean, we were pretty happy at the end of the meal. Like, the food tasted amazing, which really was the reason for why the prices are so high, I think. It's because the food, like, really everything that we tasted on the menu was amazing. Like, really 10 stars, everything. There wasn't one thing that we ordered that was bad. The other thing too that it made me think, besides the fact that she got paid more, 10 times more than she would she be working at a regular restaurant doing the same amount of work. So that it made me think that price equals leverage, right? So the higher the price, the more leverage you have, because you're putting the same amount of work to get more pay. So same amount of effort, more output. Same amount of work, more pay, right? So it made me think of that, and it's like, wow, that's a crazy thing to think about, that you could be doing the same amount of work and charging a lot more and make more money. And we came out of there super happy. And we thought she was great. I mean, was she really fantastic? 10 times better than any other server that we've been to, that we've had? No. I mean, she was good, but she wasn't like, wow, like 10 times better. The other thing too that you would think, like, for 10 times the price, you would think like they would have like really fancy menus and things like that. It was like a sheet of paper. And so all of the things, this also made me, like, even now that I'm saying it, it just makes you question. Sometimes you think to yourself, oh, I can't, like, I could imagine the restaurant owners being like, I can't have really high prices if we don't have like fancy menus, and like if we don't have waiters that are trained at the Four Seasons, or like that are extremely trained in high quality service. I mean, I'm sure they're trained in high quality service, but they weren't like, sommeliers serving you food. It was just like, a good waitress. And so with that in mind, is that sometimes we overthink it instead of just like racing the prices. And I bet you, I mean, ultimately the thing that it has to come down to is the food good, right? So like for the restaurant, and everything again that we order was good, so they can at least say like, hey, we're charging a premium price because of what we're serving, the food quality. But yeah, I mean, there's so many lessons to be learned there. The fact that they charge really high prices, the fact that it's not like you don't feel like they're just charging you a high price and they're just trying to get your money and provide you with no value. You don't feel like that because the food comes in and the food tastes amazing, but they don't really overthink the fact that they need to like you would think for $500 somebody would come in and like give you massages while you're eating or something like that, but they're not overthinking that thing. They just charge really high premium prices for good quality food, and that's it. They figured out that that's the thing that they're going to do best, and that's the thing that they're charging the most amount of money for. And so anyway, I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of lessons to be drawn from that experience of paying a really high price, and you don't really need to have like, so it wasn't like they gave you a, because if it were me, this is why I'm speaking about this, because if it were me, I'm like, well, if people paid $500, like I put a bottle of champagne and like I'll give somebody like a back rub as they're sitting there, and I'll give them, make sure that the menus come in like this fancy thing, and I'll bring them some chocolate, and like I put a roast, like I'll give them a free roast, and I'll just try to add to the experience, add more and more and more and more. And I'm like, maybe sometimes less is more, or maybe sometimes you don't need to like overthink to think like, man, I need to do all these additional extra stuff. As long as like the core thing is good and it's better than any, like this in terms of food quality, it really was 10 times better than anything that we've ever tasted. Excuse me. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's really all it is the fact that the food is really 10 times better than anything else, and so they are able to charge 10 times the prices. Who knows? But it just made me think, like, for me, I sometimes overthink when I'm creating, say I'm creating an offer for the business, or I'm thinking how to improve our service. My go-to thing is like, how do we add more? How do we do more? How do we bring on other additional stuff that we're doing? And it's like sometimes it's just doing what you do better, and that's it. It's just and not just doing it a little bit better, but doing it 10 times better. And so anyway, that's something for me to think about. It's how do we do what we do 10 times better? We don't need to add, you don't need to be a piñata when you're providing that, like when you're building an offer. You don't need to, like, the more stuff, the more things you stuff the piñata with, the better. That's not how this restaurant approached their business. They're not like stuffing you with a bunch of stuff. Like, imagine you sit down and then they give you a little bracelet that's like that costs them $20, but like, and then they give you some roses that cost them $5, and then they give you like some chocolate that costs them $10, and then they give you a bottle of champagne that costs $20. But overall, the whole experience feels fancy, so that's what they're charging, and they're marking it way up. Like, it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel like, they were trying to give you all this low quality things and like really marking it up. It just felt like, the food was amazing. So they made their core thing really good, and then they had the spinal fortitude to charge 10 times the prices. And again, that's what it comes down to. So yeah, so that another lesson is that the waiter, what she did good is that she kept on offering stuff to us. And who knows, in her position, sometimes if I know I'm selling, like in the past I've tended to be this way, where if in the past I know I'm selling something that's really expensive, what I default to is like trying to downplay the price, or like feeling bad about charging really high prices or something like that. She did not feel bad at all. And so that's something to take away from that experience, is that she did not feel bad about charging premium prices. And she didn't look at us and think, oh, wow, these people look like a little bit younger, maybe they're not going to be able to afford. She just kept offering stuff to us. And so anyway, that's another lesson right there. And so anyway, yeah, that restaurant was amazing. Even then, like, I'd highly recommend people go to it, even as like a one-time experience. It's not like we're going to be eating there every day, but it's just like, it was an amazing experience. And yeah, so that is something that I've been thinking about. The fact that price equals leverage, the fact that waiter is doing the same amount of work that other waiters at another restaurant are doing, but she's getting paid 10 times the amount. It just goes to show you that, sometimes in life, it's all about like trying to figure out where the leverage is and just going that way, because sometimes you feel like, oh, there are no hacks, but really this is the difference between, or this is how, like, you can work your butt off and not make much, or work your butt off, or put in the same amount of work and make a lot more just being in a being in a better vehicle, if you will. So a vehicle that has a lot more leverage. Anyway, so that's a good experience right there, a good lesson that I've been thinking about. And okay, so now I'm going to shift gears here a second and talk about what we've been working on today. So today I was working on the document. So yesterday I talked about it. It's called an OTA. This is a document that outlines so whenever there's a project inside our company, we create a document that outlines the exact step-by-step process of what the project is going to be like, it's kind of like if you imagine building a building. People don't just start going in there, start like laying down some bricks and like start building. They need to make sure that they plan it. They need to make sure that they know what the building is going to look like. They need to make sure. So that's the same thing here with this project. We have a project. We need to make sure that we know what success for this project looks like. We know why we're doing this project. Why is it a priority? What are the things that we need to do to accomplish this project? What are the different tasks that go into this project? So that's something that I've been doing today for one of the projects that we're going to be working on that is probably going to take us 3 to 6 months. And so I've been laying out what that is going to look like moving forward for the future, so that the people that we're going to be hiring, they have clarity around what they're going to be doing moving forward. And that right there for me has been a huge lesson in terms of clarity around hiring that I've been thinking also about, which is how much easier it is to hire when you have clarity around what you want, and how difficult hiring is when you don't know what you want, and how much of a disaster it is when you don't have any clarity around what you want. And so for me, the exercise of gaining clarity and really putting down, like, what do I want this person to look like? When it comes to hiring, first of all, why are we hiring? What is this person going to do? What responsibilities, what are they going to be responsible for? What are they going to be doing on their day-to-day? That is something that like the first person that we hired and the second person that we hired, we didn't have any clarity. It was just kind of like they're going to do everything that there is to do inside the company. And it's kind of like, you hear about what you know about like these startups, like the big startups up in like Silicon Valley and like this tech startups, where what they say is like at the beginning you hire kind of general people and everybody's doing sort of everything, and that makes me feel like at the beginning I thought that that's how it was normal. At the beginning you hire people and everybody's kind of putting their all hands on deck, and everybody's doing everything and everybody's just helping wherever they can, and whatever comes up, and there's no process. It's just like everybody's responsible for everything. And I thought that that's how you hire, especially at the beginning. I didn't know that there was like a way to think about hiring, and it's just me and my lack of experience. I didn't know how to think about hiring. And so one of the things that I've been doing is that I've been thinking about, what are the people that what are the projects that we're going to need to take on to? What are the things that we're already doing that require somebody with specific skill sets to do? And then really putting together a job description, a role description of a position that that is going to handle those things. So then we have something clear to hire for, instead of just like whatever we think, got a feeling, whatever we think, okay, yeah, this feels right. Like, this person is smart, let's hire them. That's a terrible way to make decisions. And so not having lack of clarity is something that we've been struggling with. And even then, like, even when we started gaining a little bit of clarity, for the longest time we were thinking to ourselves, we were saying to ourselves, we need to hire somebody that is good at everything. We need them to be good with people. We need them to be good with tech. We need them to be good at building automations, and we need them to be good at like explaining things, and we need them to be able to troubleshoot when things go wrong, and we need them to know advertising. And it's like, whoa, like this big gigantic requirements for this role. And then we were like trying to look for this unicorn who did all the things. And it's like, yeah, anyway, so didn't realize the importance of really dividing role. I didn't know how to divide roles and how to divide responsibilities into proper roles that each have the person, like a person with a specific personality and skill set that needs to do this role so that they can do them well. So what I mean by that, let me give you an example, is that in the past, so in our company, we have some client, like we have what's called client success managers that are talking to our clients. And in the past, we thought, well, who's going to answer support questions that come up, like tech support questions? And one of my friends who runs a marketing agency, he said, well, you should hire your client success people. They should know how to answer support questions. So I'm like, okay, so they need to be good with people, and they need to be tech savvy, and they need to know how to troubleshoot stuff. And then who's going to help our clients set up their advertising? Well, he's like the client success. And so I'm like, okay, so the client success needs to know advertising. They need to know tech. They also need to know how to be great with people, how to coach people, be friendly, build relationships, be detail oriented so they don't miss any tech stuff. And then who's going to build some of the automations and things like that? Well, the client success manager. And I'm like, whoa, this client success manager. So now we need to hire somebody who's like tech and detail oriented, but people friendly, which is not usually somebody who's people oriented is not usually the very detail oriented person. And then they're also going to need to be tech savvy. They're going to need to know how to build automations and work with. And it's like that's not realistic, right? And so, but that it didn't occur to me that was not the right way to think about it. And so, yeah, so now what I've been doing is that I have been really thinking through dividing the work into the smallest role that I can think of. Well, and I'm not really trying to come up with any single task to be done by just one person, and that's all they do is like one task. It isn't like, they grab a nail and they hammer the nail. They grab the nail and hammer it. I'm not trying to make it that small, but I've been trying to think about, so for example, the client success manager is going to be dealing with people. That person needs to be people oriented. That person needs to know how to build relationships. They need to know how to make the client feel comfortable. They need to know how to turn around a client who's not trying their best, who may not be a client who may not be trying as hard, or a client who may not be seeing so much success. They need to know how to get that client back on track, right? And so they need to be encouraging. They need to be kind of like a cheerleader. They need to be people oriented. They need to know how to build relationships. They need to know how to motivate people, and so on. And so those are all skill sets that are required for a client success manager. And they also need to have some tech ability, but they don't need to be like extremely techy, right? And so me thinking about it in that way, I become a little bit more clear about what this role should do. And then, like, for example, with a tech support, I used to think, okay, well, this tech support person needs to know how to troubleshoot questions, and they need to know how to, in case anything goes wrong with the systems, they need to be able to go in there and fix it. And if the client is having issues with their software, they need to go in there and fix it, right? Which are all things that tech support people do. But then on top of that, we want them to build our systems and make them more efficiently, because if they're techie, they also aren't going to know how to build systems and make those systems better. And that's not the truth. The truth is that, a tech support person has a different personality than a person who has systems engineering skills. The system engineer, they might look at a system and they might be like, okay, here are the points of, here's where we're lacking efficiency. Here's where things are falling through the cracks. Here's how we could design the system to be more robust so that things don't fall through the cracks. As opposed to like a tech support engineer, that person is going to be more a person who's going to be talking to the clients, solving kind of the same issues all the time. The support engineer is more creative and they don't like repetitive work. Whereas like the tech support engineer is going to be kind of seeing the same amount of the same tickets, the same questions all the time. They need to be super patient. They need to be extremely detail oriented to make sure they don't miss any questions that are coming in. Whereas like the tech support engineer, they might be more, they might not be as detail oriented. They might need to be a much bigger picture person. And so just understanding the different kind of personality skill sets that go into each different role is giving me the clarity to know exactly who we need to hire. So yeah, I just, it's been a struggle for us. This whole entire hiring and building out our support processes has been the things that we have struggled inside our company with because of total lack of clarity. And so now that we have this in place, now that we know here a little bit better what we need to do and who the people are that we need to hire, now I feel like it's so much easier. And I feel a lot more confident that we are able to find the right people for the roles. So just wanted to document this out there, put this out there for something that I've been thinking about. If I were to do it again, so what I would do if I were starting again our company, I would figure out at the beginning who are the people, like what are the problems that we're trying to solve, and what are the skill sets of the problems. So what are the problems that are coming up? What skill sets does somebody need in order to solve those problems, and then hire for that, as opposed to hiring for somebody that we're thinking, okay, we need somebody who can do everything for everybody. That's the wrong way to hire. So anyway, just wanted to drop this out there. Hopefully this makes some sense. This is where we're at in our journey in our company right now. We're hiring. The clarity around hiring is a lot better now than it was in the past, which makes me a lot more confident going into this hiring process. I'm super excited to put a team together. I'm going to be working some more on the project documents to make sure that whenever we bring on people on board, they're clear on what they need to do, making sure that their job descriptions and everything for them to have clarity around what they are expected to do is clear. And so, yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. So anyway, thank you all so much for listening. Hope you have a great evening. If you are interested in following along and seeing more of these things that I've been thinking about as we scale our company, subscribe to the channel and I'll see you tomorrow.